So here we have set 6085 Black Monarch's Castle from 1988. And this is a great castle. This is probably my third favorite castle from the vintage castle era of Lego. And I mean, of course, I love all the castles and all the vintage stuff. I'm just partial to that stuff, of course. Obviously, this is my channel, so that's what I like doing. And I like building and doing videos on. At first glance, this castle, for some reason, it's kind of hard to photograph. And it's kind of, it looks short. It looks small in photos. And even in the Lego catalogs, the vintage catalogs and stuff, like it looks a little odd, like it always is from the side or, you know, frontwards. It's a weird castle to photograph. So it's hard to get the perspective of how big it is, the design, what it looks like. And it's honestly, I think, one of the most well-designed and practical castles. It's definitely the most practical one of all of the castles. And it's got architecture that's just intricate, and it's really fun to build. My word, it's completely brick build, other than the wall castle pieces. And it's unlike the other castles in that most castles, except for the 80s one, the two Black Falcons castles, and then the Lion Knights castle, the original one from 1984. It's just everything is completely brick built, so it takes a good while to build. It's got lots and lots of pieces, and I really enjoy all the brick built parts, especially like the portcullis. It's a little funny looking, like it's not like a piece like later on, but it is a brick built one with little plates, and I think it looks cool. It's great. It's fun to build. And so yeah, this is probably one of the more fun ones to build. A little more challenging for that era, and it looks great. And I also have the instructions as well, which are in really good condition. And you can see from the photograph, they always do it from the side, which that looks cool. That looks great. But it's hard to kind of get the perspective of its size and the expanse of it. There's some alt builds on this one. that looks pretty cool there. It's a little odd looking. I don't know why they put that on the front, but I guess because of this picture, they didn't want it to be a sideways one. There's the finished product picture. That looks great. But even in this picture, when you're finished looking downward, it looks small. And it really is not small. It's probably one of the bigger ones as far as its width and, able to reach inside and its playability. And we'll get into that in just a minute, but yeah, the instructions look great. I don't have the box, but I think the box also has alternate builds on the back of it, and would have some online that you could look at. It comes with tons of minifigures. Like, it's basically a small troop, like a small army. It comes with 8 minifigures, 4 archers. They all look the same. They're all the same thing, where they've got kind of a chainmail print, blue and black torso, and then red pants, and then the hat that's practical for archery, I think, to be able to use your shoulders. But they all look the same. 4 of those guys, and then 4 of these guys, these soldiers, with a red chainmail print, and each have a shield, and then 2 have spears, 2 have axes, and blue pants. It comes with 4 of those, and then it also comes, in addition to that, 4 knights, 4 black knights. Of course, this would be Black Monarchs at this time. We'll dig into some older catalogs and see what's in there, if we see any. And then, so they've got this print here in this barding, which the later Black Knights had. And it's quite colorful. And then this guy is, I guess, the Black Monarch, because he's all in black, pretty much, head to toe. And I love this print here, the Griffin type dragon, which is, of course, seen in the later Black Knight sets. Also in the Jousting set. But, yeah, and then they have the smaller shields. This guy's an all-black print. Judging by the picture and the build, he has a red cape, not a black cape. But yeah, that's that. And he's, I guess, the Black Monarch. He would be the head of the Black Monarch organization. And then a couple of other knights with brown horses. Notice they don't have a black hair piece on their horses. Just sort of the plate armor printing on the front with these two. Just a couple different color variations of those. But I love that. That's so many. So 8 soldiers. And that's 12 minifigures in one castle. Which I guess later on, you know, the newer sets have, the Lion Knight sets has quite a bit. But I don't know. I don't know of any set in the older days that had this many minifigures. But there you go. It's like an instant army. So it's a very striking castle on the front, but it also opens up. So we're gonna kind of get into. I'm gonna kind of move around and then look at different angles as well to get more of an in-depth look at this castle. Okay, so I've put the knights aside for a minute, and my normal video equipment isn't really working today, so apologize for the more shaky video. But yeah, I just want to kind of breeze through a couple features from Black Monarch's castle. And again, it's kind of hard to put in perspective. But if you're a minifigure, you know, it's got a great striking entrance with the portcullis that you build as a brick-built one. And you can pull it with this string here. Pull it up. It's pretty big, pretty good size. Plenty of room to walk around, to walk in. If you're a knight, of course. You'll go through the drawbridge, go through the entrance. Plenty of room to get through there. And then it also has a working drawbridge. This wheel Technic piece. And you can pull that up. Those work pretty well. Definitely, it's not as quick as like the pull string where you're just using your fingers. But it works pretty decent. Yep, and it looks like it would protect pretty well, especially with the portcullis in addition to it. And of course, it can come down pretty easily. Yeah. Pretty decent drawbridge. I mean, it looks a little funky coming out the front like that, but with a string, but it looks okay. Little barrel here for a couple of swords, extra weapons. I stuck some extra axes that I had in there. We'll close that off for now. But yeah, the architecture is really cool. The way this flag hangs in the front is neat too. A little scratchy there. But overall, my bricks are in really good shape with this one. And all the minifigures are in really, really good shape as well. They look great. I like this feature here. Also like these printed pieces. We're just gonna kind of rotate it in this fashion. And it looks there's plenty of room here to walk along the walls, aim and fire, even reach in with your soldiers, with your hands. And, oops, yeah. And yeah, so there's plenty I like this design here. There's plenty of space here for the portcullis to come up and in, as you can see. And decent amount of space, even you know, compared to the later castles, which don't have much space at all in their entryways. Especially 6090, which I'm disappointed with that. I love that castle. That's probably my number 2 favorite, just because it has a lot of nostalgia for me. But yeah, it's probably neck and neck with this one and that one. But this has a lot more functionality, and it just, you know, it's wide here, so you could place minifigures. They could walk across, plenty of room. Little areas down here you could hide out and kind of reach up and shoot arrows through. As you know, again, there's a decent amount of space to reach in, place your minifigures. There's a wall back here, and a turret here on the back, 2 turrets in the back end. And it looks great. At first you think, this is kind of not very much to it. There's only 2 turrets, but it's a lot of room. It's a great design. You could always add to it, and that's the point. I think we'll get to that in a minute. This wall's kind of cool. You think, oh, there's not much protection, but you can shoot down through. If you had arrows, you could shoot down through these little, you know, or you could reach down here and chop people's hands off if they're trying to climb up the wall or something. It's a decent design. These turrets are really well designed too, because I think the minifigure's deep in there. It has these like curved circular pieces that's rarely used. That's really interesting. I love that architecture there. That's cool. But rather than being here placed like on a ledge, which is typical, they're pretty deep down in here. I don't think, you know, if you were aiming up, you know, you'd have a hard time. So again, there's, you know, I'm kind of jumping around to things, but there's a lot of practicality to this castle. The wall is pretty well fortified. A lot of angles, which, and if you study medieval stuff, the angles, if they're launching things, cannons or missiles or catapults, boulders, whatever, it's a little harder to break through because it would sort of bounce and it wouldn't get quite as much. If it's a straight wall, it wouldn't get quite as much power to make a crack in it if you have all these interesting angles. So it's, despite making it a fun build and interesting architecture and just really pretty design, structurally, it's really practical. You know, these walls are very high. You know, there's plenty of room here to walk along the ledge. These are well protected inside the turret. Sorry for the shaky video, but you could get in here and hide out, and there's plenty of coverage in there. I'm not sure how they would climb up there, but you know, it's just Lego. Use your imagination. And then it's also got this little jail cell down in here. When they don't have any prisoners, I kind of just, you know, pretend it to be a place where they can, you know, hide out and maybe get some rest, get some sleep. But there's also so much room in here that you could put other things in here. You could put little stands, and that's what I've done with it. I made a little sheltered sleeping quarters. I made a little tent area, a little stand for them to place weapons. I also have a little tiny blacksmith set up. So I mean, I have this stuff in my display, which I'll get to later on, where I've displayed this. And you could do the same thing. You could put pieces in it. Another thing is, of course, it opens up. These old ones open up to make an even bigger castle. As you can see, you can open up the walls. You could add other Black Knights castles to it, or other Black Knight sets, or Black Monarchs. For instance, you could add the Knight Stronghold, which is like more like the big round wooden doors. You could add that to the back of this one to make a bigger one. You could put the Black Monarch's Ghost. That's a tiny little set, but maybe you could get 2 or 3 of those and fill in the gaps, fill in the corners. So, you know, initially, when on first look, put together. I think it's great the way it is, but you can implement other sets into it or attach it and make a gigantic set, which is definitely an awesome way to go with this one. And it makes for a really striking castle. It just looks great. I love it. Again, it's probably one of my favorites. It's really practical design and really functional and really, I think, protective. And just, yeah, it has a sense of realism to it. So all in all, there you go, the Black Monarch's castle from 1988.